Evolving and emerging Indian American community committed to preserving the vast customs of a vibrant cultural heritage.
Welcome to Darshan America, folks. We come to you from Washington, D.C. My name is Ramesh Bhutan.
And I'm Aastha Verma.
Folks, our hearts, our minds, and our prayers go with the Japanese people, for they have suffered tremendously, what with the earthquake, the fifth largest, and then the tsunami, one of the worst hit, and then now the eruption and the explosion of the nuclear power plant up there. That has created a scare in the country. Actually, the scare is all around the world. You know, America was the first one to help because we had 100,000 people already located in Japan. We had the air power, we had the transportation power, and we are really helping them. But Japan is a country that's really loved by almost all over the world, isn't it?
You know, I was there in September of last year, and one of the things I brought back with me, just memories, is that the people of Japan are just very quiet. They're very stoic. They don't like to express pain or sorrow. In other words, they feel that stuff is very private. Yeah. And yet this is a tragedy that is unfolding in front of the world, and they're helpless, despite all of their best planning and their best efforts. And they are recognized the world over for their preparedness and for the fact that they had followed all the best principles in terms of creating backup and redundant systems to protect against these calamities. But when you have so many things working against you, you have an earthquake, which, by the way, folks, here's some staggering information I just could not believe about this earthquake. The entire country of Japan shifted by 8 feet from its current position on the planet. That's how substantial this earthquake was. Not only that, but the Earth's axis actually shifted by 4 inches.
Wow.
Think about that.
Yes.
So in other words, all of your stars in the sky moved a little bit because of how substantial this earthquake was. But then you have a tsunami. And folks, we saw what happened during Katrina. We saw what happened a few years ago with the tsunami in the Far East. This is that on top of an earthquake. And then you add to that a nuclear disaster, which unfortunately they're trying their very best, and it's a very fluid situation to try to contain what's happening there. And unfortunately, the world can only help so much. With where they are, it's very, very difficult to get people and troops and food and resources into the country.
And you know,
they're so devastated.
The images of Japanese people on television is just most amazing. They are tenacious.
Yes.
They're survivors. They survived the World War II, and they came roaring back. And I know that they will come roaring back again. But in the meantime, you know, the entire world is with them. What a great question for the world. Should we continue with the nuclear energy?
Yes, you know, nuclear power is very promising, but the world remembers so many disasters in the short history we've used nuclear power, from Chernobyl to 3 Mile Island. And now, if anything should come of this, it makes it very difficult for people to embrace this as an idea when there's so much risk and so much danger involved.
You know, the world uses nuclear power. For instance, France, almost more than 60%. Germany, about 30%.
But I think what's going to happen with the nuclear power industry is that they're going to have to rethink these huge facilities that they have. Now, maybe there's a way to shrink the footprint. Maybe there's a way to build a smaller reactor so that...
That's a great idea.
Well, I think this was an article we covered here on the show many years ago about China and other countries investing in looking at a smaller type of nuclear facility, nuclear reactor, so that when you do have any kind of a disaster, the impact may not be quite as harsh as what we're seeing. So I just think that this whole industry is going to revolutionize, unfortunately because of events like this, but this is a very powerful source of energy. We want to be able to use it, but use it safely.
I like the idea of having smaller plants. So the footprint is smaller, the effect is smaller.
I think looking at this, we should reflect on what our energy policy and energy needs are going forward, not just as a nation, but as a world. And unfortunately, Japan is going to have to lead the way out of a disaster to show us how to get this done. Well, no doubt, folks, as you watch these images come through from Japan, your heart can't help but want to reach out and help the people. And so you can certainly do that through AmericanRedCross.org, which will contribute your donations to the Japan Earthquake and Tsunami Relief Fund. You can also go to globalgiving.org. And of course, folks, you can go to m8znetworks.org. There's a link on the page there that will take you to the American Red Cross site where you can donate as well. As always, you can look online for other places where you may be able to donate relief supplies, relief funds. I'm sure cash will also be very helpful to everyone right now. But folks, we encourage you here deeply to donate and to help the people of Japan.
And always remember the small rescue stories or which make the day sometimes. You know, I remember the two that they did where a 4-month-old child, you know, I mean, it was amazing that the house was swept, but he was still there. Or the 70-year-old woman that was also saved, though she suffered from hypothermia, but for 4 days she stayed in a house that was actually swept from where it was to half a mile away, and she was safe. So those are the little stories that actually encourage people to look forward to and work hard, and I know Japan will come back.
We certainly hope so. Well, moving on, folks, here at home we are dealing with tax season because April is right around the corner.
Yes, and I want to tell you a great story that I read. There is a magazine called Journal of Ideas. It is by an organization called Democracy. Taxation without representation. You know, we are Americans. Whenever we buy something, we want to know where it is made. Are we getting the value of the suit that we buy? How much does it cost? But when it comes to taxes, we really don't know. Let's suppose a household makes $50,000. They pay as much as $6,400 in taxes to the federal government. The federal government just keeps the money, doesn't tell them where that $6,400 has gone. So this Journal of Ideas, there are two authors, they're saying, look, it will be so easy for IRS to calculate. For instance, $1,375 of your tax dollars go to defense. Social Security, $1,335 go to the Social Security. $846 go to Medicare. And so on and so forth. They've given so many of them. But one of the interesting ones, the diplomacy in the embassies costs you $27.